Hi there guys, we have a long awaited by some update on the Tamiya Panigale S. As I say, long awaited by some. Hi Jeff. Sorry for the wait, and I hope it's been worthwhile. Now here's where we are at the moment. This video is going to be in segments, so I'm not going to show you in too great a detail just now. I will be showing you close-up detail once I've gotten the model closer to being finished. So here's the body as it were at the moment. We've basically got the engine with the exhaust, the silencers, the radiators, the cooling fan, the airbox and the rear suspension system, including the braking system and the chain and sprockets fitted, as you can see there. I need to do a little bit of an oil sort of pin wash on the chain and sprockets just to make them pop a little bit more, because there's a lot of same colour on this, on the engine cases and on all the bolt-on bits that fit to the frame. So because I can't vary the colour to make detail stand out very much, and this is the case on the model kit and also on the real thing if you Google pictures of it, I need to use an oil wash to make some colour pop out a little bit more. Once I've done that with the chain and sprockets, I've got this bit here which is the rear suspension, including the working side stand, as you can see there, so you can have it on its side stand. This is the frame that bolts to the engine with the gear shifter pedal, the rear suspension unit with the yellow spring, and there's an little Ohlins doodad that needs to glue onto there, which is currently has been clear coated after decaling and is drying, so that'll be glued on tomorrow. And the other side is simpler. There's the sprue with the other side plate, as you can see there, and then it has another the brake pedal assembly which fits onto there. These are the front forks. Just quickly sort of go over these. Now you see the pieces at the front that are forward of the forks. That shade of gold that you see there is Tamiya's own recommended colour mix for the front forks, which is completely wrong for Ohlins gold colour, which is a much brighter anodised gold colour. Now that colour, it's worth knowing, this is a really good match for shower forks, which come standard on a lot of high-spec sports bikes. Ohlins being top of the range tend to be extras unless you've got the top of the range out of the showroom sports bike with all the optional extras and what have you. And this being the Panigale S would have the best suspension and everything else. Now what I found was I wasn't happy with it. I painted it, wasn't happy, stripped all that, and I repainted the fork legs using Citadel burnished gold, which is straight out of the bottle, which is almost a perfect colour match for the Ohlins anodised gold. And then the actual sliders, the fork sliders themselves, which are typically chrome on a lot of motorbikes, can be hard anodised in a variety of colours, and you'll see them black on some bikes and gold on a lot of others and what have you. Well, on these they're gold, and to achieve that I used alclad chrome with a misting of Tamiya clear yellow over the top, and I think that looks quite nice. And then just highlights, accents with Humbrol satin black for the dust covers on the bottoms of the forks. So that's the forks with the bottom yoke assembly. I need to add the wheel, the disc brakes and the calipers that you can see one of here. I will be showing all these again in closer in detail once I've got this a bit more together, so don't worry about that just for now. Once that's assembled, it can go onto the bike, onto this bit here, which will then allow me to put the front and the rear wheels on and give me a rolling chassis. Then it's a few more ancillaries that bolt onto either side, then the tailpiece which bolts onto the rear cylinder here and sweeps up here. At that point I'll be able to start putting body panels on, and it will look much more like a bike that you will recognise. So I'm going to cut this video just here, and then in the next bit you'll see this a little bit more together. Okay, so we hop forward quite a bit. As you can see from the last little clip, there are a fair few more bits, or seemingly a fair few more bits attached to the model. Now as you can see, we've got a rolling chassis. The front forks, the wheels, the rear disc and caliper and some of the fluid lines, brake lines, clutch line and such like have been assembled. The rear suspension unit has been assembled. I'm giving you this kind of distance view here just for the moment, and I'll do some close-ups in a moment. But as you can see there, we've got something that actually looks like a motorbike now. Now, just flip that back over a second. Still to fit are the side panels, which are down here having a bit of work done. I'll show those in close-up in a moment. There's a few bits and pieces there with still needing a few little bits of paint here and there, which I'm applying by brush at various places. A quick note on the decals here. Now these are the decals that go around the wheel rim, which I have really struggled with. So as you can see on the wheels, we've got the Marchesini logos, but not these, because for some reason they have just not been playing nicely at all. I don't know if it's just me that's got a bad set of decals with this kit that don't seem to like laying down on anything other than a flat, smooth surface. I've been liberally dousing them with Microsol, which normally makes them any decal I've used in the past conform to pretty much anything. Even an Academy kit that I built once with some really thick decals, and it took 2 or 3 applications of Microsol, but they did lay down into all the panel lines and everything. These have just been an absolute sod, a real bugger, and they've just not wanted to at all. So rather than sort of struggle and have the wheels looking messy, I decided to just do away with the red rim and stick with the basics, which is the Marchesini logo on there. Had that been more troublesome, and then I would have just taken those off as well and left it as is. Bit of a shame, but I can live with that. It's not the end of the world. So, you know, a bit of red rim tape or what have you is not the worst thing. This gives you a bit of an idea of where we're at. A lot of the silverwork, because there's a lot of this all the same kind of colour. So all these bits down here, the chain, the sprocket, and the foot hangers, and all this bit that holds the rear suspension, shock absorber and what have you, needs a bit of an oil wash still, just to make the detail pop out like I did with the engine. And the same on the other side. What I'm going to do is cut off just here, and then I'm going to switch this onto macro mode and give you some close-up shots. Here we have the side panels. These fit underneath the fairings and house the ancillary electrical components. This one still needs some paint on. Let me try and get a pointer. It's kind of tricky to hold this and do this at the same time. But this bit here, and this bit here need a bit of paint. And then over here we've got, as you can see, this bit here which I've been painting. The top socket there needs a bit of paint, this needs a bit of paint, and then down here, although it's going to be quite tricky to see, we have the battery with the decal applied, and that's been given a quick swipe of clear. Now the instructions call for this to be painted in gloss black. However, I have never yet seen a battery case that's actually shiny, glossy paintwork gloss black. At best they're a sort of slightly shinier than satin, and because the rest of this is painted in satin black, the rest of this panel, I wanted it to be a little shinier but not so shiny that it looks out of place and wrong. Hence the coat of clear, and what I shall probably do when that's fully dried is hit that with another coat tomorrow perhaps, so it'll have a couple of coats, maybe 3, depending on how shiny it looks, but just as long as it sticks out enough or stands out enough from the rest of the panel to be noticeable. A little bit of paint on these and then this is ready. The cowling up here, which houses the ignition barrel and neatens up the fairing. I need a little bit of clear coloured paint on these, which are the suspension fork tops. A little bit of paint on the levers and what have you there. All the bodywork and everything I showed you in an earlier video, that's all complete and ready to fit. But let me just I'll give you a bit of a close-up of the calipers here, which I think look quite nice. So get that into focus. This is probably the one exception where the decals actually behaved quite nicely, because the Brembo logo that you can see on here, if I can, there we go, get that to focus again. The Brembo logo that's visible there is recessed into the calipers, it's moulded in. And then you get the decal which sits on top, and with several applications of Microsol it seemed to settle in, not quite as well as I'd hoped, and normally with Tamiya decals they usually sort of sit in much easier, but it's satisfactory, it's a reasonable job. Had it not worked, what I would have done is just use some very watered down enamel paint and touch that in and let the capillary action fill up the logo. However, the decals worked fine, so that's all good. We've got the Speedo Dashboard over here, which needs a coat of clear, which I should have done actually while I was doing that battery and didn't think about that, but I'll do that tomorrow. It needs a coat of clear just to make it a little bit glossy, but again not too shiny. And then over to the bike itself. Now you can see here we've got the brake discs have been drilled and painted in Humbrol stainless steel metal coat paints, which I really like. The fork bottoms have the Öhlins logo decal on the bottom there, which makes that look quite nice. Ignore this, the front portion here, because that is where the mudguard will mount. That was the original gold that Tamiya recommended, the mixture that Tamiya recommended, which is actually a very good representation of Showa, as I mentioned previously, but definitely not Öhlins. Now, I used Citadel burnished gold for the forks to represent the Öhlins, and also for this little canister on the rear suspension pod there. And then for the fork legs, that was sprayed with Alclad chrome and then given a coat over the top of Tamiya clear yellow, which gives a very nice overall finish, I think. I'm really pleased with those forks. That's your airbox there with some of the fastening pins where the side panels fasten on, picked out in aluminium just to make them stand out a little bit more. And hopefully you can see there what I mean about a wash giving that engine a little bit of a pop. Just makes the moulded detail stand out, because so much of this is very much the same colour. So a little bit of a wash and then cleaned off in certain areas, it makes the detail of the engine pop and stand out a little bit more. The rear suspension with the shroud there and the nice little Öhlins decal on there. And then the peg hanger and the side stand. Got the exhaust cans down there. I need to put a little bit of a black wash inside the tip there just to make that, give that the shadow effect looking inside there. So you've got the stainless steel front and rear portion and the aluminium covers. The rear suspension, a little bit of a scratch on the rear swing arm, which is unfortunate, but I'm going to see if I can give that a little bit of a buff out. And as you can see, the Marchesini logo on the wheel there. The sprocket with the nut picked out in a slightly darker metallic, and although it's still, the problem is all these colours are so similar, it's very difficult to make them stand out from one another, so the sprocket and chain need a wash as well to make the detail pop on there. This bottom section down here is missing a small piece which pinged off and disappeared somewhere on the floor. No idea where it is, so I'm going to have to try and find that, which is very, very infuriating, but again, not the end of the world, and I can live with that. And then down there you can see the rear Brembo caliper with the brake line attached and the brake disc, again drilled and done Humbrol polished stainless. So the rear hanger there, that's going to be washed as well, just to give it a little bit more detail pop. Then over on the right hand side you can see the disc and the caliper a bit better there. Let's just turn that wheel, try not to break anything. There you go. And again, the detail there on the engine, which pops out just a little bit more. The exhaust pipes, front and rear, as you can see there, are done in Alclad stainless steel, which is one that I really like for motorbike exhausts. Gives a very realistic finish. And there you go, the right hand fork leg, exact same thing as the other one, of course. And is there anything else to mention on this side? I think that pretty much covers it. So I'm just going to turn this back over. Excuse the shaky cam footage, I'm actually doing this handheld so I can get in nice and close. Had I had a little bit more time to organise this, I suppose what I should really have done is put this on a tripod and move the model underneath it, which is the kind of thing I'd normally do, but hey, apologies for that. And what we have left now are these side panels that you saw earlier. These will go on once they're painted up. And then we have all these extra little bits and pieces. They've got the foot pegs down there. Again, you see these are all painted the same colour, which makes it a real nuisance for actually picking them out and making them stand out and make them noticeable. Hence the use of washers for that. But all these little bits and pieces are to go on. Following that, we've got the subframe which fits on the back here, and then all the body panels. So we're actually getting very, very close. So in the next video we should actually start seeing some colour on this. So thank you for watching so far. Thank you for being so patient and waiting for this latest update. The next one should see the finished model. Maybe a short one next and then the finished model after that, depends on how it goes, but I suspect it should all come together quite quickly after this. So thank you for being very patient and sticking with me on this one, and when I do get round to my next model build after this one, I will try and be a bit more consistent with it. Thanks for watching, goodbye.